emergency podcast. I've got Ian K with me, who I just saw moments ago. Dave from Canada. I might have another guest. I won't spoil it if he or she doesn't make it. But Dave, why are we doing this call? What the F happened, Dave? Tell the people.
I don't know, man. I was just working out.
You were working out?
I was working out, and all of a sudden I'm here. Ian, I guess this is the Sean Noble situation.
I mean, I think that's why we're here. Ian K, why don't you briefly bring it? Okay, go ahead, Dave. Well, I
think one of you guys would be better because you guys were there.
Well, here's the thing, okay? Ian, give people the two-sentence version of why we're here while I tell people to join our live show, okay?
Okay. The two-sentence version of why we're here is we had an Elite 15 race, I want to say on Wednesday. I don't even know what day of the week I'm currently on because I'm at HYROX Glasgow. I think we're Saturday. Is it Saturday? I'm
Saturday,
dating.
Man.
Yeah, dating the podcast, but it doesn't matter. Today, at the event, this isn't going to be two sentences, but anyway, at the Elite 15 on Wednesday, Sean Noble beat Thomas Turdick. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Sorry,
nailed
Thomas.
Totally nailed it.
Sorry if I haven't said that right, but he beat Thomas by fractions of a second by crashing through the finish line, thus capturing the last place of the 12 slots available in the majors. And now on a Saturday, we got a notification from HYROX that they've overturned the decision. They decided that Sean did not complete his final wall ball, and as a result, Thomas finished in the place, I'm not sure whether it was 8th or 9th, whichever place was necessary to get that third place spot. And that's why we're here.
So I think that was a great wrap up. So here's my perspective. I'm there in the stands with Ian, just, a couple of fans of HYROX. We don't get any special access, right? So we're just a couple of fans of HYROX doing our best, filming it. I'm watching. I wasn't watching Sean. I was watching Thomas, I think, or whoever. I was basically starting and stopping my phone a lot because I didn't want to have minute-long. I wanted to have short ones. Like, let's get the winners. Now let's get the qualifiers. And I didn't even end up posting them all. But what happened was Thomas is running over. They're counting Thomas's 98, 99. They're counting his. He runs over. And then that's when you see Sean kind of come in and dive. Now, according to Ian noticed in real time that it turned red, which I did not see. We'll get back to that. But if you even go back and watch my video, the audience kind of gasps. And I think they're gasping because they saw the no rep. Because you hear more of a ah than a ah. It's like do you know what I'm saying? I've watched it a few times, and I think that's what they're reacting to. The people that were watching Sean realized he left too soon. I've seen several videos that you've shown me. I'm sorry I can't pull it up now, but I can't tell whether that's a number or an X. Tell me what you see, Ian K, on the screen.
Okay, firstly,
because also Sean and others are showing a video of it. Look, it looks fine, doesn't it? So tell me what you're seeing.
Okay, to slightly potentially correct you there, Matt, I think the gasp was because Sean, when he dived, took out Thomas. So we had a crash on the stage. I think that's what drew the gasp.
There's a gasp right before that one, though. We'll have to go. Okay. Little Zapruder film action. There's a gasp before the gasp, but go ahead.
Fair enough. So I can't recall the gasp. I do recall I was watching Sean more than Thomas. Because from our angle, we could see Sean and we had Thomas on a big screen, so I could watch both together. And I've not checked with the person sitting next to me whether I can name him. So I apologize. We'll share his name if he lets us in the future. But I was sitting next to a fine Irishman next to me, so we were paying attention to Sean's wall balls. And plus, I've interviewed Sean a few times. Really like him. He's got such a great story. And I know, Matt, you get annoyed when people are homers on the show and that, but I was willing, Sean, to do it. So we saw him throw up the last ball and turn to run. We did not see red on the screen. We just saw that it didn't register and go to 99. And we were just like, that says 99.
You
Oh my
said that to
gosh.
me. You said that to me. I didn't notice it. You said, Matt, I don't think he got it. That's what you said to
Yeah,
me.
I did. I said, I don't think he got it. It says 99 there. And I half expected the ref to do something. It's only afterwards that we viewed some of the footage. It looks like the referee actually cleared him to go. He makes kind of a move signal, which I didn't see in real time.
A
I
what signal?
saw. Yeah, he moves the iPad as in to let Sean run, if that makes sense. He wasn't in the
points to
way
the
of.
stage. He points to the stage.
Yeah, he points to the stage. I didn't see that in real time. All I saw in real time was it didn't register a rep. And my first thoughts were, I think it was a malfunction of the screen because from where I'm sitting, again, we're at least, 20 yards away, it looked like a rep. Yeah, it wasn't an obvious no rep. Okay. So in real time, that's my feelings was screen malfunction. Yeah, he's gone. We have this who crossed first. And because of that, we didn't mention it to anyone really, did we? We chatted about it in our little group, but that was the end of it. We didn't really, as
Well, I
you said, we were
remember,
very
yeah,
fans.
yeah. Well, I remember thinking, because you said it to me, and I really wanted to point out that you spotted it during the thing, because I think that's important that it, again, we're going to talk about whether we think the decision is fair, but at least one person besides them, right, in the moment said, Matt, I don't think he got it, right? So I thought maybe the judge is embarrassed, these are volunteer, like maybe he didn't want to go back and no rep him, but I didn't know he had done the clear sign, right? I just thought it was a good eye on you to get that. Now I do want to read. Dave, do you want to say anything else before I read the actual response, and then we'll talk about what we hate about the ruling?
So when I'm watching, I watched the video that Ian suggested to me. I watched your video. I watched the actual live stream, which didn't show me much on there. What I see on the screen, it is very hard. The videos aren't choppy. I'm used to that screen flashing red when it's a no rep. The whole screen flashes red. That did not happen. There is a little bit of red off to the side, but if you've been judged down on these, there's always that little red off to the side because there's two arrows, one for the top, one for the bottom, and those arrows are red, right? So they're always there and they're very small. But on that video, that could be what you pick up as that little bit of red. I saw the judge clearly indicate go. And I mean, here's my biggest point. Rep, no rep, screen didn't count, screen counted, whatever the scenario is. HYROX's mandate has been, because these screens have not been completely reliable, do not, as the athletes, they're told, do not watch the screen. Do not go by
your judge.
Go by your judge. That judge said go. Cut and dry.
Okay.
They do so many posts, I can't even read it. I got to find my email, I guess.
Well, you find that. I'm just going to chat
it.
quickly about the flash of red, Dave.
Yeah.
It changed for this event because I actually did the event. So in Manchester we had that horrible America's Got Talent thing where you got the massive X flash up when you did a no rep. I know, I saw plenty of them. But yeah, it did that. For this, it was a much more subtle turn of red. And the only reason I picked it up on that blurry screen was if you watch it side by side with the screen next to Sean's, and the balls, they're not going at the same speed, but his screen stays completely still in terms of nothing's moving on it. There's no flash of any kind of red. So I thought at first, oh, could it just be the arrows?
Yeah.
You can clearly see on Sean's screen, it does turn a lighter shade of pink, shall we say, which isn't a decent song.
So I'll take your word for that, and I'll bow to you and say, yep, I agree completely. It did that, and it still doesn't matter.
No. I guess that's what we're debating next. But yeah, it's they need to bring back the X's, even though I absolutely hated them.
Yeah.
All right, let's. I think we have another guest that's joining us. Nope, not yet. Oh, we do. Hang on. Other guest. Welcome from down under.
Hello, all four of us
It's-
on.
Hey,
Wow.
we were just
It's
chatting.
Bernice.
How do we
It's
all
the
get
greatest collection.
how do we all finally get the right time zone?
Amazing. It's 4:08 Eastern. We're in daylight savings, which means we're that much closer to Ian, right?
Gotcha. Because what time is it for you, Ian?
Currently 8:08.
8:08. Okay, not too bad.
Well, you Bernice, you missed us kind of talking about how we saw it in real time, but we're going to now just kind of cut to the statement and then our feelings, and we'll go from there. So it says, following, I'll skip some words that I can skip. Following the major on Wednesday 11th, the challenge was raised. So that's our first question, right? What does that even mean? Sorry, I'll read the rest. Immediately after the conclusion of the male race, to the HYROX race director, the challenge pertained to the completion of the required number of reps of wall balls by E15 athlete Sean Noble. HYROX undertook a thorough investigation during the subsequent 48 hours. I really could stop on every sentence. What's a thorough investigation? Why 48 hours? Right? So many things. To set out in the HYROX rulebook, the results of the investigation were that the final wall ball was deemed a no rep by the digital wall ball counter, not the judge, which is what we've been told. It is the athlete's responsibility to meet all work requirements, both distance and reps, after reviewing all available evidence, including visual confirmation from multiple angles. Again, which angles? HYROX finds the burden of evidence has been met and that the final repetition of Sean's wall balls was incomplete. He finished on 99, not 100. A 10-second penalty has now been applied. The adjustment affects the official, with Thomas' verdict moving into the 7th position, securing a qualification spot. HYROX remains committed to a fair and transparent competition, ensuring all athletes completely compete under consistent and clearly defined standards. Now, Bernice, you are logical. You're not crazy and emotional like these other two guys on there. I'm certainly more like you. I'm super calm. I would love to hear yours when I read. Actually, reading them, like, I don't think I'd ever read it that slowly. I think reading it that slowly pointed out how many things to me are, I would say, egregious. What are your thoughts, Bernice?
Oh, firstly, I have so many questions, like all of you would. I mean, I'd love to know who challenged it, firstly, and where the challenge came from. Has this happened before? Because as far as I know, it hasn't. And that's what I'm worried about, is this is setting a really bad precedent for the future of HYROX. I was reading the comments on the post, and someone pointed out, are we going to go back and check all like elite 15 athletes reps? Is that what we're now going to do? Is that the precedent that we're setting?
We only do that for Sean Noble.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
To interrupt you, Bernice, we've had this over on the DECA side because they do have an official live stream as well. And they have stated, and again, DECA has the advantage of seeing this go wrong so many times on the Spartan side that they were like, okay, you can't just walk up to us with a cell phone. If it comes from our cameras, right, or an official source, we'll look at it. But again, if you see first place athlete, no rep, what about 5th and 6th place athlete that didn't have a camera on them?
Exactly. And that's the thing, I'm a little bit worried about the use of the mobile phone. That's a whole nother thing. Oh my God, there's just so many arguments you could make and the questions that we have, but the use of mobile phone coverage, as I don't know if that was the entire proof for Ian saying no. So I'm hoping it wasn't, but there's so many questions I have.
Yeah. Okay. In terms of the proof, because they were streaming it, bear in mind what we see on the live stream is not all their cameras. They had cameras on Sean because we saw the camera just before it cut off. So I presume they're reviewing their cameras, not the footage that we've got access to. Also, I don't know for sure, but I'm fairly confident that the actual wall ball targets themselves do produce data. So there's a good point that they'd be able to check that data and find out whether or not it was a no rep on that. So it's not a case of someone in the stands having grainy mobile footage. In terms of whether this has happened again before, well, never on a major, but it has happened to Sean Noble before in terms of mobile phones being used. And I feel really bad for Sean that he happens to have been the athlete on this. And this whole thing isn't against Sean. It's just unfortunate he's one of the two athletes that were impacted.
Go ahead,
Do we
Dave.
know that? Oh, do we know that when Sean finished, that his judge said go? That's probably the other kind of question I have around.
The judge gave him a signal towards the stage. The judge was
Yeah.
clearly counting reps and then gave him the all go.
And
Yeah,
based on what we saw, and if you remember at the World Champs, right, there was a judge chasing someone down, and that's when it was made even more clear. I don't know how it was written before, if they changed it, but it was 1,000% wait for your judge to tell you to go. And you saw Ronco that same night and many others since then throw the last one, look at their judge, because that's what they have to wait on. So my judge tells me to go, then I go. However, now that I'm saying that and thinking out loud, Dave, remember when Hunter and Sandy both got sent off too soon by their judge, and they said, sorry, was it Hunter and Sandy?
Yeah, Hunter and Kent.
22 or 23 world champs?
Hunter and Kent. Hunter and Kent that was on the sleds.
They were later penalized. It didn't change the rules, but even though the judge told them to go, they were penalized. So now that I mention it, it seems like they've done it both ways.
I mean, this is my world, right? This is what I do. And quite frankly, I think if after decision at a race that I was the official at, I came back 2 days later and changed the results, I would be hung out to dry because it's foolishness. And especially when the judge signaled to go. If I was Sean Noble, I would currently be appealing every rep. And this is nothing against Thomas DeVerdick. I think he's a great guy and a great athlete. Every rep he had at every station. And then I'd be asking, did you have the cameras on me for every rep I did during my 100 wall balls? Because how do you know that the machine didn't screw up earlier and I did an extra one before? There's not enough information. You cannot. It's not a fair thing. It's not workout. And quite frankly, the other part, if I'm Sean Noble, I'm starting to feel discriminated against because we've used video replay like twice in history and both are on me. And one cost me a shot at Elite 15 and the other one cost me a shot at Worlds. And the first one wasn't even brought on by another athlete, it was brought on by a fan in the stands. So yeah, this is not the way you do it. The way, like when I do the rules and when I do it for DECA, I have a strict line about what's reviewable, what's not, and when the judges call stands on the floor. They do not have this. They're flying kind of by the seat, and it seems to be changing as they go. And it's, yeah, if I was Sean, I'd be pissed. I'd be really pissed.
Dave, I kind of agree. They do need to have rules there about what's reviewable, what's not reviewable. To use an American football terminology, that every scoring play is reviewed. Maybe every finish is reviewed, because thinking about this the other way, watching the video back, and I might get flamed for this, but watching the footage that we've seen, Sean's last wall ball does appear to not hit the center of target. It does appear to be to the upper left portion where it makes contact. So had he thrown that on his 98th, it would have been a no rep, no one would have cared. Mm-hmm. And I therefore wonder, does it then matter? The reason the referee, by the way, didn't chase after Sean was, you can see it on the footage, as he points towards the stage, it hadn't turned red yet, and he turned around. So he actually didn't see it register a no rep. So he turns back, sees the screen, says 99. And again, I watched this in real time. He thought, oh, this is weird. And he just reset the screen, because I presume that's what they were told to do, just generally reset the screen once your athlete is finished. So either you have, I don't know, the final 5 wall balls are reviewable as a rule, or the judge's decision to release you or not to release you is acceptable. And I don't know.
If you have the final 5 wall balls are reviewable, you need it for everyone.
Right.
And they can't.
Right. Because that's actually a really good point what you made, Ian. They do have their cameramen position. But if I finished behind, who Vivian or who was the final qualifier in England?
The final, I want to say Jess
female.
Petro.
Jess. I finished behind Jess. I want you to go get the camera people's footage of Jess's lunges. You know what I mean? Like that's really what you're saying. So just burn on my face and I'll do it. The rule book doesn't say anything about, here you go, buddy. The rule book doesn't say anything about a judge releasing you. It just describes each of the reps, describes the what you do. Start standing tall, ball touches the target, et cetera, et cetera. And then the last line just says, if the athlete violates any of the above mentioned points, the repetition becomes invalid, meaning, the squatting, the hitting the target, all those things. But it doesn't say anything about once your judge says you've reached 100, you may go. And that's the part, first of all, that needs to be clear. Because you're right, it has to be one or the other.
What supersedes the rule book in every race?
Is whatever the judge says?
The pre-race brief. And in the pre-race briefs for the Elite 15, as well as publicly, they stated, ignore the screen as an athlete, wait for your judge's signal.
We know they did that to them?
This particular, I know they've done it in every race previously since introducing these screens and since they had the issue. So I'm assuming they did it with this one. I was not at this one.
Well, it's why they all check now, right? I think because of history and because they get told they check with their judge. Like I've even received so many people saying to me, why did your brother, like I'm just talking about James now, why did he check? Like he could have beaten the world record had he not checked with his judge. He lost his second there. And I'm like, he does that because of history and because they're told to. They're told to get that check off by the judge. So yeah, I think it's a good point you make there, Dave, that what's going to supersede it? Is it the judge on the day?
It's the rule book is the rule book, and the only thing that supersedes it is that pre-race briefing. So if they're changing something that is specific for that venue or specific for that time, that's when you introduce whatever it is you might change.
Okay,
but
Dave, playing devil's advocate here, though. Again, watching it in real time, I'm watching it on the video. I think Sean was going no matter what that referee said. He threw that ball up there and he was going because he saw Thomas running and he knew it was his last rep. So whilst the referee does make a signal that you can see from it, I don't think it would have truly actually mattered in the grand scheme of things. And plus, I've said this to a few people, what would have happened had that rep been great? Yeah, it'd been a perfect rep, but the judge had held Sean for 1 second to check that it was a rep, and that 1 second meant Thomas crossed the line first. Would we then be having a conversation about Sean was discriminated against because his judge held him up?
No, we'd be having the conversation that the screens are stupid because they flash every now and again. That would be the conversation we'd be having. And like for me in Vegas, I did mine. Mine got stuck on 99. These things are very flawed at the moment, and that's why you're still supposed to be listening to the judge, right? And to your point of would Sean have gone? Yeah, he probably would have. And if he had gone and the ref called no rep, it's 100% on him. That's totally his fault. But that was not the case. He took the chance. He went. The ref gave the signal. In my mind, he's clear of the problem.
So I've seen this on online. Noel says Elite 16, easiest solution. Both get rewarded. No one gets fucked over. The other thing I've heard is if you give it to them both, then one less spot at the LCQ. Dave, what do you think about either of those options?
Here's the thing. I like the sentiment behind it, but I don't like the practicality of it. The reality of it is it's 15. That's what it's supposed to be. That's these calls are tough to make, but
we did kind of love it when Yancey did that at DECA. Remember when DECA gave them both first because it was such a fuck up on their part?
That's a little bit different, right? You're talking about the place, and this is who gets in the race, right? I mean, I'm just saying that, and when two people get first, that means the next person gets third, right? So it rolls like that. I mean, I suppose it's one way to go, but it's one of those you open it up and where do you stop? What if it happens again? Do we do 17? Like it becomes one of those you're setting precedents.
But these are all bad precedents.
If you set precedents with that, can you continue to follow it up?
What do you think, Bernice? What about giving it to both of them?
I don't like it either. I agree, Dave. Like I I like the sentiment of it, but I just think you'll have that then next year that something might happen in the women's field and they'll say, let's have 2 extra athletes. I mean, we hear it all the time about people wanting that extra race so that they can have more of a time challenge between. I've heard it with LCQ. They want 2 races so they can have the roll down spots. There's more spots available. I just think it's 15. It's got to stick to 15. Don't change it. Yeah, I don't really like that idea.
Hang on, my computer's messing up. So if you kept it 15, you could just make 1 less LCQ though, right?
But then that affects this is the thing, then it affects the other athletes, and that's not fair either. It affects those athletes who are buying for those, 3 spots at the LCQ, and I don't want to affect them either.
You promised the athletes going to the LCQ who have planned their trips, who have planned their movements, who have planned all this stuff, that there was 3 spots available. You have to follow through on that.
Mm-hmm.
Could I suggest a third way?
Sure.
Yeah, but it's going to be too nice and wrong.
No, it probably will be, but I kind of agree with Dave and Bernice.
And it's right.
It's horrible for Sean. This is an unpleasant situation, whoever it happened to. Because on the other hand, you kind of feel you would have felt for Thomas if afterwards someone had told him, look, his last rep, so if one athlete has been removed, another athlete has gone forward. So yeah. Anyway, my solution would be agreeing with you guys that for the time being, as much as I feel from Sean, he needs to go to Barcelona and try and qualify through the LCQ. I think it would be nice of HYROX as a gesture to do all they can to assist him with getting to the LCQ, but that's just me saying that. Maybe flights or accommodation, something like that. I think that would be great. If he does not qualify in the LCQ, he gets the JK wildcard spot where he goes to Chicago, and if any of the Elite 15 cannot race, he hops in there as the next contender.
I have a question.
Like the first roll down spot. Yeah.
Yeah, first roll down spot.
I have a question. I'm looking at, so again, to go back to the very first paragraph, a challenge was raised immediately after the conclusion. Okay, if that's minutes, an hour, why take 2 days to look at the footage? But also, I just looked in the rule book and using my powers of search in the find, whatever you call it, control whatever to find, the word challenge isn't there. The word protest isn't there. Like, where is that in the rules that this is?
Well, did you try appeal? I don't think it's there either, but try appeal.
Appeal also
having looked before, I don't think so. I don't think that they have a process in I don't think they have a written out process for a appeal. But I could be wrong. Just having read it in the past.
Let me go to the other questions I have. I think Sean's beef is definitely, I think, the 48 hours part. It's like, because you kind of, it's hard not to think he's being singled out, right? And they might say we're not, consciously or unconsciously.
They're not.
What's that?
Of course they'll say they're not.
But I'm just saying.
What are they going to say? Yeah, you got us. We were picking on him.
but I'm saying that if it wasn't him, we wouldn't be thinking that, I don't think. But the fact that it's him, we all think, well, geez, maybe they just don't really like him. And so they're like, yeah, we're going to do whatever it takes to get rid of this guy. It's again, when it's, yes, the what do you call it? The distance and the reps, or whatever those phrases they've used, they've specifically talked about. And I'll have to ask, because we don't 100% know, but we can ask JK, we can ask any of these athletes, because they do that. I was going to say Friday night briefing. Now it's a fucking Tuesday night briefing. This is what a rep is. This is what you have to do. If he was told, then that's end of story. If he was told when your judge lets you go, you're good, then that's end of story. Don't you think?
I do. That's what I think. I think scrutiny like this just sometimes it can ruin sport a little bit. Like, we all loved that finish that they both had. I mean, and we probably wouldn't be having this conversation.
Hang on,
or there wouldn't have been a
Sean just entered the chat. Hang on. He'll talk about this with Dave. Dave, is he going on your show?
He's more than welcome, but I've not planned anything.
Well, I already
It's the
reached
first time
out.
hearing
I know
about it.
Ian already reached out. We'll definitely, Sean, I'll have you on now if you want to come on now. I'll send him a link.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to put the guy in the spot, but hey, if he's here, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just think
Our overall feeling is this is yucky and they should
Moment.
never do this. What
Yeah.
would, Bernice, what would be something that you think it would be allowed? Like what kind of egregious penalty for them to change a result post-race?
I think if there was like clear cheating, like if there was, oh, it's such a tough one. But if there was if there was a clear indication that the athlete had cheated somehow throughout the race, absolutely disqualify them then. But I just think judge's call is judge's call, and it happens in the moment, not 48 hours later.
This has ruined a great
48
HYROX
hours
sporting
to-
moment, says Derek.
48 hours to review one wall ball.
Well, apparently, maybe they watched all 100. Maybe they're like, all right, let's litigate all 100.
Yeah, look, I do at least have faith. I think what Ian was saying before, that I do have faith that they wouldn't have just been going off mobile phone coverage. I hope. Like, I think they would have been going off all camera angles, and they would have done a proper review, which is why probably the 48-hour thing. Hopefully HYROX learns from this. I think Sean is going to get a lot of support. I'm already seeing that. I think he's having compared to the last time when this happened, when that wasn't a major, so it wasn't probably as big of a deal as now. It still was. It was so much controversy, but last time he had a lot of backlash. He was kind of like the villain of HYROX for a few weeks there, and still kind of was going into this major. But whereas now, I think he is going to have everyone's going to have his back.
Yeah, I agree with that comment. If the briefing was that the judge releases you, ignore the screen, and we can see, like I said earlier, I think Sean was going no matter what because he had to go, but you can see it on the video. The judge definitely points towards the screen. I'd agree with you, Dave, that at the end of the day, Sean did what he was meant to do. He threw that last one and went for it.
All right, he says he'll talk another time. Dave, apparently you're the safest one to talk to. He clearly wants to talk to you, the master of rules. So you're going to get the first dibs, I guess. I assume he means you. Does he mean? Is there another Dave? Does he mean Dave Letterman? I assume he means.
I have no, but I'd be more than happy to chat with him. Yeah, it just like I said, the 48 hours. And I said this to you, Matt. If this was Spartan and did this, we'd hang him out to dry. I mean, this is like Woodsy touching the frame and giving a 10-minute penalty. This is. Like I said, if I did this,
at least that was the same day. At least that was an hour later.
If I did this at a DECA event, and I'm going to put myself. So when Jack Bauer missed a sled, a tank, push and pull, right? And we had video showing that happened, but we didn't have it till podiums are done and everybody's left the building and all that stuff. You can't go back at that point. The game's done. The race is over. Right. The only reason to go back is, like Bernice said, some elaborate, deliberate cheating, some unsportsmanlike conduct, like hitting or an official or pushing over a person, or steroid use or something along that lines. Something that may take longer to review. But and if they were told right away, because they said in their comment it was brought to their attention immediately after. So if it's brought to your attention immediately after, you do not release official results because there's currently an appeal in process.
What if, I'm just speculating here, just over there in speculation corner, what if they were like, hey, we've got drug tests to go through, and if somebody fails it, Sean's going to get in anyway, so let's wait until those results come back.
Then they're being stupid.
But in their minds, they were like, we kind of will get it both ways. Like somebody fails.
That's just that, that hoping for luck to save you in a bad situation or to get you out of a hard decision. That's no, I don't think they were doing that, by the way, but I would think that would be daft to make a British phrase, daft. Does that still work?
Oh, sorry, you're asking me. Yeah,
daft still okay?
Yeah, it would have been a daft situation.
Yeah.
Like say, it's so frustrating that it's happened to any athlete because it was such a great moment, and we do need the rule book to be ultra clear at what point and at what stage. Like I said, if they want to review it, fine. Say all roll balls are reviewable, or the final zone is reviewable, and then release results after, because they were incredibly quick on the night to declare Sean had won. Matt, I don't know if you were surprised by that, but they did release that he had not won; he had come in third place. It would have been about 2 minutes or so.
Yeah, they out loud on the mic they said it, and I haven't watched the live stream, so I don't know if they've clarified it there. But I remember them definitely saying, "Okay, one is 34.2, one is 34.3, whatever." So, Bernice? Did you watch the live stream?
Yeah, they said it. I want to say relatively quickly, within a couple of minutes, and they said something like it was 0.3 of a second between them both.
Right,
is
but
what they were
but they
clarifying.
did bother to do that and get that right. And again, they've kind of learned from last year's Worlds with the women. Again, we've given them credit for sorting that stuff pretty quickly. But yeah,
Mhm.
this is definitely kind of in that Spartan level of like, what are you doing? Why this seems arbitrary and capricious. Again, why 2 days? Like, yeah, I think, yeah.
And one thing I'd want to know again, Dave, when you speak to Sean, hopefully either online or offline, I get a chance to speak to Sean in future, because like Matt, love the guy, fantastic guy. I'd be curious as to when he found out that an appeal was going through, because I'd personally be aggrieved if I was Sean, if they didn't say immediately after the race, look, just so you know, an appeal has been lodged. At the moment, this is the decision. Would you like to submit anything to it? We're going to review it. If he only found out pretty much when we were finding out 48 hours later, that's not okay either.
So
It's actually more, by the way, it's more than 48 hours because it's Saturday morning. The race was Wednesday night.
So yeah, that's true. And you're 100% right, Ian. Like if you're, and this is a situation again I've dealt with, if I'm imposing a penalty on somebody post race for something that happened during race, let's say a dropped ram or something that they've done, or dropped dumbbells or anything along that lines, I'm imposing a penalty on them. That means I've imposing the penalty and I'm giving them the chance to fight that, which means they can bring forth evidence saying, no, that didn't happen. Here's my evidence as to why that didn't happen or why I shouldn't be penalized or whatever. And the question, like you say, did he get that chance?
Again, I don't know the answer. Again, to go back to what we were saying, in real time, it wasn't a rep. In real time, it looked like the referee released him. Whether he did or not, we don't know for sure. We weren't certain. There was definitely the gesture. In real time, Sean was going no matter what, but does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
Where's Dave? What's your name? Ian. Where's the video where you say you could see the red? Because I'll pull that one up real quick because I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, if you look on a Irish Fitness guy when he shared it, it's incredibly hard to see, and I literally had to slow it down to microseconds.
Okay, then I won't. Then I won't bring it up.
Yeah, it is really, but you can't.
Can we bring up to? Can we listen to the gasps then? Can we listen to the two gasps?
Yeah, by all means.
That's all about the gasps.
Okay.
It's like fireworks. Ooh.
Okay, hang on.
I will say while you're doing that, I did freeze frame as much as I could the video, and the two reps look different. Okay, ready, Matt?
So you hear that? No,
Who's
no.
that?
Some dude in the stand.
That's what I think it is. I think Dave gave Ryan Kent and told him right after. I don't know what that is.
He's saying that when I gave Ryan Kent a penalty for dropping his ram, I told him during the race.
Right. I'm using this computer, which is old, and you can't really tell, but yeah, I couldn't see it in real time, and I couldn't see it in two other videos.
I've watched that video, and like I said, I couldn't see it, but I'm taking Ian as what he says as face value is correct, because quite frankly, I don't think it matters.
I think that no is actually me.
There you go.
Because of course I was right next to you, and yeah, I was reacting to what I saw.
I thought it sounded a bit Irish, but there you go, Ian.
Oh, Well, it could have been Irish. It could have been, as I said at the start of the show, Bernice, you weren't here. I was next to someone from Ireland,
Okay,
and we were
might have been him.
watching Sean's wall balls. And like I said, we were just reacting to the counter. That's all we were watching. Yeah.
It's a good thing it wasn't James or Bernice, because then it would have been like, oh crikey, what just happened? Was that a crocodile? Did he put some Vegemite on his wall ball?
Speaking of, Ian, have you tried the Tim Tams yet?
I only got home about an hour ago. That's why I'm on the mobile, so we've not done anything yet.
It'll have to be a Tim Tam night for you.
It probably will be. You really don't like it when stuff like this happens. Like you can appreciate an appeal being lodged, because had I missed out by a split second, I would have appealed against anything anyway. I'd have found any reason to appeal. Dave? Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't blame Thomas Dverdick at all. Like, sorry, and I'm just assuming Tomas put the appeal for it. I don't know whether he did or not, but even if he did, I don't blame him in the least. Right? Like, go for it, because he appealed the timing appeal, whatever. He's going to do everything he can to get to Worlds, and such is his job. So I don't blame him at all. And yeah, I mean, he benefits from this, but I'm sure that he would have rather just had an outright qualifying, right? Like, I'm sure this isn't the way he wanted it. So as far as I'm concerned, that he's a great guy. He's a hell of an athlete, and he's done absolutely nothing wrong. I just feel,
I agree.
And I just, when I'm thinking about these things, I try to block out all the people, all the emotion, all the everything, and just go with the plain and simple facts. And the plain and simple facts are that the decision should not be made this way.
Yeah.
And
I would find it interesting if, let's just say, the challenge was that there was a rep back earlier in the race. Would they have challenged that? That's probably another question I have. Let's just say it was his sled pull that, I don't know, he didn't pull that behind the line or whatever it might be. Would they have challenged that? I don't know. Or
it was just his first wall ball rep, and the counter counted, but it probably shouldn't have.
Yeah. Like, did they just go back and review all the wall balls? Did they only go back and review the last 10? I'd just love to know a little bit more details about it. And the thing that concerns me is, now with World Championships only a few months away, can this easily happen then? Can someone then challenge Hunter's frog-like burpees?
It could be. How dare you? How dare you? It could easily happen at the LCQ. It could easily happen with even other pro races, right? Just regular HYROX pro races where people are trying to get times or, qualify for Worlds. And they might say, oh, we don't video those, so we can't say. Like, they're just, like you said, they've opened themselves up in a super weird way. And I'm certainly going to try to talk to Mintra, Chris, is it Chris? Not Chris. Who's the German guy?
Rick.
That's the rules guy on site. Rick and Mintra are the two I would want to hear from, because I feel like it comes under their purview, wouldn't it, Dave?
I would think so. I would think that would be, they have the final say generally, or they would be the top dogs in that. I don't know if they had the final say in this particular occasion, but they would be the high end of the chain.
Can the four of us make a pact that in Chicago we will all approach them, like with pitchforks, maybe? Like, we just like, hey, we want to answer.
I'm probably going to be blackballed after tonight again, so.
Look, I guess like the only thing I can think of, like, I guess we got to remember HYROX is still such a new sport. They're probably still learning themselves.
I don't buy that one.
It's a nice
I'm
sentiment.
sure they'll learn from this.
Here's the thing. I think they are trying to do things right. I don't think they have a vendetta against Sean.
No, I agree.
I just say they put themselves in a situation where it appears like that. Right. And I don't really believe that that's the way they feel. I don't think they're trying to do anything untoward. I think they're trying to get it right. But I think this is a mistake.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And that's just coming from a place of having watched this go along and been in that position myself. And like I said before, if this had been Deca and Yancey doing this and made this decision, I would tell him this is a mistake. And in fact, I have. So that's how I got the job.
All right. Well, I guess Bernice, will we be seeing you? Are you going to Barcelona and or Chicago?
Not Barcelona, but I will be in Chicago. I will be there,
Fantastic.
hopefully seeing JK potentially take out a title. A little bit biased over here, obviously being his sister.
All right then. Well, listen, thanks everybody for jumping on last minute. And everybody on here has a show. Go find it. Hybrid Sport Media has a podcast. Do you have a schedule?
Oh, look, we don't at the moment, really. It's just whenever we can fit them in. We try and do weekly, but yeah, not at the moment. Usually Tuesdays in Australia time.
Dave?
The OFX podcast, the original hybrid racing podcast. Just saying.
Comes out what day?
Generally Thursday, but this week we went out on Tuesday because we wanted to preview the major. So it'll be next Thursday. Will be the next episode.
ENK UK HXR.
Yeah, fitness racing podcasts out every Wednesday, 5 a.m. UK time. So I guess technically it's out on Tuesday in some parts of the USA, and probably, I don't know, Friday in Australia. I've not quite worked out that time zone yet.
All right. And Dave and I will be back on Monday night to do this live show with special guests. We will go over all the Elite 15. We'll go over all the doubles races and talk about how I went through 2 computers and now I'm using this thing, which is really bad. Thanks for hopping on, everybody.